All right, shalom, shalom to the nation of Israel, shalom. All right, this is your brother Kazaki out of Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power, Yahweh Shema Shah, right? But prior to getting started, we want to give our infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, our Kakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? And the title of today's lesson is going to be Wars and Rumors of Wars, okay? That's the title of today's lesson. It's going to be Wars and Rumors of Wars, right? And then we got this article here. We're going to read a little bit of the article just to see kind of what it says. We'll, move in the spirit from there, all right? This is military. It says Ukraine tried to take out Russia's Orshishnik missile base, and it says, but the Flamingo cruise missiles apparently missed. All right, and I'm gonna read a little bit on this here, just really quickly. It says Ukrainian forces recently launched at least 4 Firepoint FP5 Flamingo cruise missiles at the Russian missile base in Kapustin. Okay. All right, and it says Yar, 1,000 kilometers south of Moscow. So basically, we know Russia and Ukraine has been at war, with each other, each trying to hit and so-called, basically just destroying certain targets, assets, different parts of the land, taking out different military personnel and bases. But this here is a major key point because Ukraine really fired off basically some cruise missiles to destroy one of Russia's military bases. Okay, and we know the response to this is probably going to be detrimental, heavy in response for Ukraine. Okay. Now we're gonna go and read a little bit more on it. It says the good news is that the controversial FP5 is back in action after an apparent long pause. It says the bad news is that there's no obvious sign the 6-ton missiles. That's that's crazy, right? That's 6-ton missiles. It says actually hit anything of value on the sprawling Kapustin Yar. It says site, and it says where Russians develop, and it says build and test missiles such as the hypersonic or Orshnik, okay, missile. So hey, look, they were looking to take out what Russia's site where they test their missiles at, man. Okay, obviously, they're already at war. It's not even a declaration of war, but they're being strategic about what they do and what their next plans are. Okay. So this is what we're seeing from the people. Okay, we're seeing wars and rumors of wars, man, and more the people being amped up and ready for the battle. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna jump down to this part here. All right, and it says Salakia. Trying to see what I want to start. All right, let's read what it says right here. It says big missile, small damage. It says the employment of the missile both in November 2024. So they, attacking with these same missiles, right? It says when it was first used and in a recent strike, it says suggests a limited projectile accuracy. So they understood that this wasn't very accurate, right? It says Hoffman wrote in January, it says this is likely because re-entry vehicles are not individually guided. Instead, they follow a gravity-driven descent after separation from the post-boost vehicle. It says, but the accuracy is beside the point. It says, remember, Orshnik, right? And it says was designed to carry nuclear weapons. It says Kiev, base consult with Jimmy Rushton. It says explain. It says when it doesn't, it is not practical or cost effective a weapon system. It says it's too inaccurate, and it says and not destructive enough for the $30 million plus price tag. Jeez, you know what I'm saying? So these missiles are causing a heavy price, but I mean that makes sense considering the amount of tons they weigh, right? And it says any terror weapon designs to intimidate. But I'm not gonna read any more on the article. You know, if anybody else wants to continue to read on it, it's just giving you the background of what happened leading up to date, right? Them using the missiles before, but like I said, this is major moves, small, so-called, smaller country making major moves to take out key targets. Okay. Now I'm gonna go and jump to. Let's see if I can find it there. All right, we're gonna go to these Mexican cartel. Right. It says Mexican cartel members ordered to shoot it at Border Patrol agents. Memo. Okay, and this would be really a declaration of war, and would give the U.S. even more reason, right, to come in and try to take control of the resources by the way of the gangs. Okay, all right. Now I'm gonna let this video play out some, but probably not the whole thing. Let's go ahead and
Border Patrol down there at the border at the hands of the cartel, directing them, hey, go shoot at Border Patrol.
We've talked about this on your show frequently about the threats that Border Patrol agents and law enforcement in general operate in along the border. It's an all threats environment. And now that you have a legitimate, serious, a hostile cartel like the New Generation that's put out this threat, you take all threats seriously, and you take threats from the cartel to shoot at Border Patrol agents, put that on high alert. I mean, this is something that is, something that is a concern, especially how the border has gotten so secure and things have been so effective under this administration that the frustrations, I'm sure, are showing up within the cartels, and creating chaos and problems is something that they specialize in. They lost control. They want to gain control. So our agents need to make sure that they have their heads on a swivel, as they always do, and protect themselves not only from the threats in front of them, but what could be coming across the border, from a high-powered rifle, drone attack, or one of the many things the cartels have their hands on. So yeah, the frustration is there, but it's mainly with why we haven't been able to get Mexico to take a firmer stance and control this. Again, if they're doing it behind the scenes, I applaud them, but we need to make sure this kind of stuff is put to rest real quick.
all right. So basically we're gonna go to the scriptures as we always do. All right. Basically they want Mexico to control, right, what the drug cartels do. Okay, but we all know what happens when that happens. Okay, we see leaders in their countries, get taken out. Okay, when they come up against those cartels, and they really, in so many words, they're kind of juiced in with each other, right? They work hand in hand with law enforcement. Okay, to to control what's going on, right? So they could always stay in power. And like I said, if you don't comply to what they do, they just off you, so to speak, right? Excuse me, it's like. All right, this is Matthew 24 and verse 6, and it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars." Right? We saw Ukraine, fire off missiles, right, to destroy a base in Russia where they test missiles. Okay, wars, man. All right, and then it says, and rumors of wars. right? So with the cartel being given the order or ability or power to attack, Border Patrol in whatever scenarios, wherever they see deemed fit, basically to take them out, that's, basically in so many words, a declaration of war, right? It's a rumor of war because that's all it's going to start. It's really going to start a war, right? If these two, just even pretty much even just the talks about it is going to probably start a war, right? But if the actions actually carry out, it's definitely going to start a war, okay? And like the guy was saying, he said, if you don't, get this underneath control, right? The actions underneath control, then, we know what the next outlet is, okay? And it says, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? And it says, I'm going to go one more verse. It says, for nation shall rise up against nation, right? And kingdom against kingdom. Okay, so we're seeing that Ukraine at war with Russia, and the United States is, pretty much on the brink of war with Mexico. Okay, we see that in the inner workings, and other nations too. But we just bringing up these two for now, so to speak. Okay, and it says, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All right. All right, let's go to the next precept. All right. All right, this is Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red. This is Esau, Edom, the Edomites, so-called white man, right? And it says, and power was given to him to take peace from the earth, right? So this man was given power to basically, take peace from the earth, man. And the earth is not at rest. No one's at peace. Everybody's up in a uproar, a frenzy, right? People are coming up against, a nation against, like the scriptures say, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. As soon as going to be state against state, city against city, neighbor against neighbor, man. That's how this works, man. It trickle down to, that so-called, average Joe. Okay. You got one guy believing in one thing and another guy believing in another. And once their beliefs collide, in this time, at this point, it's going to basically lead to, bloodshed, so to speak. Okay. And it says, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, right? But the point being, this Edomite, right, and he's taking peace, from out of the earth. Where everybody's at war. It's just it's chaotic events all the way around, man. Famines, earthquakes, all kinds of stuff are just going on, man, with this devil, being in power, okay? But like the title of today's lesson is Wars, right? People are at war, man, and rumors of wars, right? Basically, the beginnings of talks about, be invading other countries, taking out other assets or targets or people, right? And controlling resources all around the globe, man. People, ultimately are going to get tired of this thing, man. Okay. That's what's going to happen. All right. Let's get this here. Second address. As the second address 9 and verse 1, it says, and he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently. Right. So we measure the time diligently. What? The prophecies, right? That's what Matthew, the 24th chapter, was talking about. Wars and rumors of wars, but see you be not troubled, right? He said, don't get all stirred up in your mind and in your spirit when you see all these things happening, right? Because they have to happen, okay? Those wars and rumors of wars must happen, man, right? Before the Lord returns, man. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. We filter in these prophecies with the returning of the Lord. right? And the rest of the prophecies, the MOTB, okay, Jacob's trouble, full blown Jacob's trouble, right? Because the northern kingdom's already in Jacob's trouble, but it hasn't really touched home yet to the southern kingdom. But when it does, look out, man, because it's gonna be all hell breaking loose. All right, and it says, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, it says, which I have told thee. Okay, and it says, so it says, it says, when thou seest part of the signs past, it says, which I have told thee. Go to the next verse. It says, then shalt thou understand that is the very same time. Okay, this is the very same time that what? It says, wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made, right? The Lord is going to begin to visit the world, man. Okay, and he's doing it now, right? The Lord's hand are pretty much over the nations, right? The shaking of the hand, right? The beginnings, like the beginnings of judgment, okay? And it says, wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, okay, we've seen earthquakes all the time, right, through and throughout in history, okay, it's prevalent, right, and even now, in today's time, right, just download, I believe it's called the Earthquake app, and you'll see how many earthquakes they got going on, every day, all around. We get the major ones; those get reported, but there are a crap ton of the smaller ones happening all over, right? And it says, and uproars of the people in the world, right? And the uproars, right? I want to get that word, uproar, right? Because this is exactly where we're at. Uproar, right? All right, this is uproar, and this is the second definition from off of Google. It says a public expression of outrage, of protest or outrage, right? And that's what's selected. That's what's going on now, right? Plenty of people are, upset, pissed off, right? Hurt, right? Okay, nothing's going their way. Right, and the way they see the world, or the way they want the world to be, isn't how it is in their eyes, man. So they're basically, long story short, they're losing their mind, man. Okay, and this devil is doing what? Like the book said in Revelation, the 6th chapter, and I believe that was the 4th verse we read, where he took peace from the earth, right? So he's taking away certain things that these people hold dear to, man. Okay, and what are some of those things, right? The Bill of Rights, okay, the Constitution, okay, the laws that are set in place. And that's all they're doing. They just keep doing things to break the law, so that when these draconian laws come down and these troops come in and all the rest of this kind of stuff start happening, then it's just going to be more normal, okay? But I'm going to get some of those words. For uproar, it says outrage, protest, complaint. Everybody complaining, right? It says fuss, right? Ruckus, rumpus, all right? Just to name a few, objection, okay? Just to name a few words, to go into, what the scriptures are talking about, all right? And it says, let's get this here. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So the Lord ordained all of this to happen. All of these wars and rumors of wars and the famines and the pestilence, the plagues, the woes, the calamities, before, the world even began, man. Right? Okay, we just playing out basically the Lord's movie. And it says, for like as all that is made in the world have a beginning, right? And the end, and an end, and the end is manifest, right? The end is here, man. Okay, it's ready, it's prime and ready to go. All right, now let's get another precept real quick. 10 for this one, be too long. Okay, this is Second Esdras 16 and verse 17. It says, woe is me who would deliver me in those days, right? It says the beginning of sorrows and great mornings, and that's what we're in right now, the beginning of sorrows and great mornings, man. But we're right there at the threshold, right? And it says the beginning of famine, right, and great death. Okay, and I've seen a lot of people, man, be homeless, asking, for money. The homeless population is, in so many words, is just, out of control, man. People aren't able to afford to even buy things, right? If they can't afford to buy bare essentials, how they gonna afford a place to stay, right? When it costs thousands of dollars to have a decent space of living, man. People can afford that, right? And it says the beginning of wars. That's where we at. Wars and rumors of wars. The beginning of everything, starting to go down. And the power shall stand in Salakia in fear. And it says the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils come? What you gonna do when these evils come, man? Right? And it's a prophet saying this, man. Okay. So imagine the people that's not prophets. What are they gonna do when Yahweh Shema Shah come down, with his judgment, man? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? But just that's why the scriptures say who's gonna be able to stand, in the day of the Lord, right? In the day in which the Lord brings his indignation, right? When the Lord brings his righteous anger, who is gonna be able to survive it? No one, man. Right? If you're not a part of the elect, it's over for you. You're out of there, man. Okay. I'm gonna read maybe 2 more verses. It says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute, right? So these things, are sent because of the actions of the people, man. Okay, because of the sins of the people, the wickedness that's within the world, man. Okay, and it says, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness. So the Lord is sending these plagues, the pestilence, right? He's sending the wars. He's sending the troops. He's putting everybody in these dire straits, crazy situations, and what, man? It says that, but for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges, right? The Lord literally told you pretty much what the scourges were. Okay? So what are you going to do in that day? Right? If you don't have Yahweh by Shemal Shah on your side, man. Okay? You're going to be destroyed. All right? But, let's go ahead and, we'll get this here. Then we'll close out. This is Daniel 12 and verse 1. And it says, this is the time of the end. It's the headline. And it says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standing for the children of thy people, right? Standing up for the elect of the nation of Israel. And there shall be a time of trouble, right? This is them wars and rumors of wars. But when it all kick off, when it all goes downhill, when the society shuts down, the military brigades come out, right? The blockages, the asking for what they say, let me see the papers, right? If you know what I mean, okay. What the people gonna do, man? And it says, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation. Okay, and it says, even to that same time. And it says, and at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book of life, right? It's like in the book. Okay. So hey, look, you know, there's no way out of this but through the Lord, okay? But through Yahweh Shem Shai, right? And the Lord is just slowly, really, clamping down on a society, because you're gonna have to choose either one or two ways, and that's it, right? On the one hand, you got Esau, Edom, right? The Edomites, their technology, transhumanism, merging man with machine, okay, and ultimately the MOTB, okay, and then you have complete faith in Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, right, and being covered, with His Spirit, right, having a hedge about yourself, and complete faith in the Lord, man, but yeah, that's pretty much all I have through the Spirit and power, Yahweh Shem Shai. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, first and foremost, to the whole elect. But prior to getting out of here, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles at Green Millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the whole elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. The title of today's lesson was Wars and Rumors of Wars, man. Keep a watchful eye, open for everything that's going on, as everything intensifies, through the Lord's will, through the Spirit and power, Yahweh Shem Shai. But, Kwame Sha'Allah, Ababa Ball, and Shalom.